there's a few beliefs that keep me going in my business at all times. I believe that any idea that you are given can't fail, meaning that even if it does fail, it needed to be there for your next step to your bigger vision. So knowing that belief, knowing that yes, this next company that I start could fail, but it was the only way, like it was the path to get to the next bigger picture. So there are things along the way and beliefs that I have in place that honestly, I can't fail. Because even if I do, I have a firm belief that that failure was the next step to my next success. Because that is the tried and true journey for me. Like I've had a lot of things that have failed, but they haven't truly failed because without those pieces to the puzzle, they wouldn't have opened up the bigger picture. Without those horrible business relationships, I wouldn't have understand who I need when I get my big business, right? I wouldn't have understood what to look out for. I wouldn't have understood, where that boundary needs to be, what language I need to use.
All right, welcome. This is Peter Vuk, founder of the prestigious GameChangers Academy. And thank you for tuning into our monthly Millionaire video series where we interview the world's most elite and successful entrepreneurs, game changers, and CEOs, and just people that I have massive respect for that I feel are making a massive difference, not just in their industries, but in the world. And I'm super pumped for today's guest. A lot of you guys have recommended her. We've had some very powerful and impactful females, but this one I'm excited about. So you guys know her bio. You guys have studied her and checked out her videos, but she's a leading expert in the field of fitness, transformational work, mindfulness, and self-love. She's grown 2 multi-million-dollar businesses as a successful entrepreneur. And I just found out she's growing another one. She's an author, cover model, and 3-time fitness world champion who offers carefully curated like a set of practical tools to promote sustainable health, spiritual well-being, and financial freedom, and how to build a loyal following and a loyal tribe. She has ride or die fans. She's been featured in almost every publication. She's been on the cover of magazines. She has an amazing podcast, Earn Your Happy, that's had millions of downloads. She has a very interesting and somewhat intriguing past as well. But I'm excited. Lori, thanks for being here. And thanks for adapting and adjusting. We had a crazy technical error, but I appreciate you for being here.
I'm the queen of technical errors, so I'm so excited. No, I swear to you, it's always like, it's especially with guests that I really don't want it to go wrong with. And then I'm like, no, but I really think, just to open it up, and number one, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talking to everyone. This is so awesome. I feel like whenever you get invited into someone else's group and things that they've created, like it's such a sacred, awesome space because I know that means so much. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, technical errors, like isn't that what having a business is? I think it's the ability to come back. Like, what is your comeback rate? So it's really like, man, you just pivoted right there and you got us back up right on time. So
thank goodness for my team. And yeah, I appreciate you already going through that as well. So let me start with this. What's been on your mind lately? You're someone that as I'm studying you and diving into your past and your energy, we're pretty similar as far as the anxiety we've had and like always feeling like we got to do more. So you're hyper. Is that accurate? You're pretty hyper like I am?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a unique mix of introversion and hyperness.
I love it. So what's been on your mind recently? Anything festering on your mind that you've been laying in bed thinking about, things that you feel like you want to get out to start off?
Yeah. I was in a really interesting phase at the beginning of this year because I had just come off of a year where all of my biggest dreams came true. And, I'd always wanted to write a book, never thought I could write a book. Like you guys, I was homeschooled through high school, like pretty much 8th grade level, like English, like who am I to ever even write a book? And so I write a book, I get to go on tour, I have a best-selling book, I'm like doing all the things, I'm starting these programs, I'm feeling so like for the year during the time where I'm thinking I should just be like so incredibly happy that all these things are happening. I'm feeling so glad that I did it and super fulfilled. It feels so good to get it out, but I was so busy and I was doing all of the things and like at the life buffet, right? Like I'm just sampling every single thing, saying yes to every single thing. And also starting to realize that in order for me to still be creative and to still feel good, I got to figure this. Can I swear on this? I'm like, I got to figure this shit out. Like I have to really start to know, like, where do I still enjoy my life, find my creativity, and also, be busy in this work, because I get lost if I'm not being driven by a purpose. So at the beginning of the year, I was like, that's it. Like, I'm going to just take time off. I'm going to go slower. I'm going to see what this all looks like. And I'm just like, this is my year of no and figuring out what I want to do. Well, like 3 to 5 months go by, 3-4 months. And I'm like, okay, I don't do really well when I'm not doing, finding things that are purpose driven. But what I was getting really clear on is I want to find the 1 or 2 things that I'm really excited about, and I want to go deeper on those. So for me, that meant I had a lot of things in my life that I needed to learn to how to start saying no. Like, I thought I knew how to say no, but I did not quite understand how challenging it would be, especially now that I've created this life with all of these amazing people in it. Sometimes you really have to go back and go, okay, what is for the highest vision? So in order for a big dream to come through, you have to make a lot of room for it. So what I was learning is that in those down times, and in that, I'm now like calling it the cocoon time. Like, you almost have to go inward and create some space and create that time where there is nothing, and create that time where you do have more time for walks and more time for workouts or whatever that looks like. For the first time in my life, I was taking weekends this year. I've never done that. Like, yes, I was still working here and there, because you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you kind of have to do that to keep the engine running. But at the same time, I was carving out a lot of time, and there were a lot of days where it felt pointless. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but felt a little lost. But I kept on going, this is good for you. This is doing something. This is so incredibly important. And what happened with that was, all of a sudden, these big ideas started coming through, and I started to understand what I needed to still wake up feeling good, wake up feeling like I wanted to get after my day, wake up feeling motivated. Because to be honest, last year I was waking up every morning like, what is the point? And I know that sounds nuts coming from someone who, like, you're in it, but there is a place where we have to figure out where we thrive. And I also don't think I could have gotten there without the extremes. I always say I learned my best lessons in the extremes, whether it was the extreme, like, okay, I'm going to cut out everything and make all this time, or the extreme, I'm going to sample everything in life. But I find a balance by going to the extremes. And I also don't think a rocket ship can take off without going full throttle. So I think that it's really important to understand that balance is going to look a different way to everyone, and that you are going to find your balance, and you are going to find out who you are in the extremes. And it's kind of the opposite message of what people are saying, but I don't know a different way for myself.
It's a really good message, especially for this group, because there is a lot of people. And if you're getting, let's just use income as an example. If you grew up not making much money and all of a sudden you become a millionaire, the money can't be the motivation. You have 100 times more than you had. When you hit that next level, when you felt like you woke up, you're like, I'm literally hitting all my goals. Was it just a process to figure out what was next? Because there's a lot of people that do hit their goals and then come into complacency. Was it elevating your network and then writing everything down? Was it challenging yourself to do something different that scares you? What was it? I guess you can't really put it tactically. This is a hard thing to make tactical, but yeah. What was the steps when you felt like you had accomplished everything and then you're kind of like, what's the point? Why am I waking up?
I started thinking of what's a company that I would love to create. Like, if I had all of the money in the world right now, and I just could wake up every day and create purpose for myself in something that I wanted to do, what would it be? And I started letting myself play in that. And I'll tell you, it didn't come right away. This has been months and months where every day I had a different idea, and my husband was just like, oh my God, like, you are just like too much right now. And it was changing. I'm like, maybe I'm never going to find what that is, but this thing kept coming through for me. I can share just a little bit of it, but it's not quite developed yet. But that's what I was doing, is letting myself play with what would that look like if I woke up every day and could do something that was just fun, if I had all the money in the world. And then I realized, why can't I do that? Like, honestly, every idea from every successful person, especially, talking to so many successful people and having a, podcast, I'm always like, what's the thing that really like clicked for them? And it was like, what do they love to do? Where do they get lost? And then they realize, okay, even if it does seem outlandish or crazy, every idea once was, but how could you monetize that? Like, what's a way that you could monetize that and really start thinking of that, or start talking to people who've done it before, or monetize something that seems crazy before. And I'll tell you, I have but there's a few beliefs that keep me going in my business at all times. I believe that any idea that you are given can't fail, meaning that even if it does fail, it needed to be there for your next step to your bigger vision. So knowing that belief, knowing that, yes, this next company that I start could fail, but it was the only way, like it was the path to get to the next bigger picture. So there are things along the way and beliefs that I have in place that honestly, I can't fail. Because even if I do, I have a firm belief that that failure was the next step to my next success. Because that is the tried and true journey for me. Like, I've had a lot of things that have failed, but they haven't truly failed, because without those pieces to the puzzle, they wouldn't have opened up the bigger picture. Without those horrible business relationships, I wouldn't have understand who I need when I get my big business, right? I wouldn't have understood what to look out for. I wouldn't have understood, where that boundary needs to be, what language I need to use, how to be a better boss, if I wouldn't have failed as a boss with my first assistant. So I think when you know that you have those beliefs and you actually can write them down, like, what are a couple core beliefs that you hold that are going to pull you through to the next bigger vision?
Huge. I hope people are really comprehending those breakthroughs. And so we're kind of going backwards, which I love because it's a different type of call. We're going to backtrack because you're talking about hitting all your goals. Now, what's the next level? It's for someone to say, yeah, it's easy to wake up when you have all the money and all your goals, but let's back up. You definitely were not always super confident and successful. You said something that gave me chills a while back that I love, that I think our society has this backwards. And I wholeheartedly believe in this. And I think our society really, if they understood this, especially young millennials, game changers, rock bottom moments and tragedy and a tough past, people use that as their crutch, as a validation, as a victim. But you say they can't succeed unless they do have those tough moments, and the importance of not robbing people of their rock bottom moment. Let's back up. Explain the importance of having rock bottom moments, or going through challenges, or using your adversity to your advantage like you've done perfectly.
I got to be honest, I still pull power from my rock bottom moments, because and let me tell you, rock bottom moments don't necessarily go away, because they can happen at any point in your business or your life, whether it's in a relationship or whatever that looks like. So they are so important, because without them, I don't think that a lot of us can motivate ourselves to move forward. I think pain is a beautiful motivator, and it's a part of life. And when we can start accepting it for what it is, we don't sit in resistance or fear of it. So for me, I call on a lot of my past, because I don't want to go back there. So I don't sit in it forever, but what I do is I do allow myself to be human and to feel it. I think that what we do sometimes is we make decisions from trying to stay away from that place of pain. And instead, what I do is I make decisions by allowing myself to go back to that place of pain. And then my decision right then and there is, I'm like, oh, yep, guess what? And I'll just use working out, right, as an example, because one thing about fitness that fitness really taught me is that it runs parallel for business. Like the way that your results come, like very slowly, the way that you experience pain when you're, going through growth, the way that you have to keep showing up and you have faith every day, even though you see nothing for months. And then all of a sudden one day you're like, wait a minute, where did all of these results come from? Like, you have to have faith. So for pain, I think about this all the time when I'm working out. It's like, I don't want to go and do that workout, but what I do is I fast forward to the end of the day. Then I fast forward to the end of the week. And then I fast forward to the end of the month. If I don't do those workouts, I'm like, oh my God, I get tired. I get really crabby. I start lashing out at my husband. My anxiety starts going up, and I let myself sit in what it feels like when I'm that person. And I let myself sit in the disappointment of if I don't do it for a week or a month. I let myself sit in, oh my goodness, I'm, maybe now I can't even wear the clothes that I want to wear. I don't feel as confident on stage. Like, I bring that all in. I pull it all into the present moment, and I feel it, and I close my eyes and I'm like, okay, I gotta go work out now, because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth that long-term pain. But what we do as humans is we make these short-term decisions on what feels good in the moment. And then we're causing this extended long-term pain by avoiding any pain in that moment. But what we're doing is really calling in bigger pain when we do that.
I had a question a while back that you were talking about identity, just because I see a lot of this online and offline. How did you detach your identity from fitness, or how do people detach from they are defined by their cars or by their business success or by their body or by their social media? People get so wrapped up in their identity of what people view of them. How do you detach and just make it internal versus external?
You know, this is an interesting question, because in order to make it more internal, I did have to do a few more, like, quote unquote, like external things. So meaning I had to start making myself proud for different reasons and being different things that made me happy that I had in my tool belt. So when I was in fitness, I was very much like, you know, I could tell you everything about fitness. I could get you a workout. I could do this and that, whatever it was, like very, you know, just focused on that. And then when I wanted to start doing other things, to be honest with you, I started to realize, like, I started adding ballroom dancing, and I was like, whoa, I can, like, this is so cool. I'm someone who can like do a few dances and teach a few dance moves. That started to actually be really fun. Like, we would be in friend groups and I would teach people how to swing dance. I started to feel valuable because I was like, oh, I can add some fun to groups. I'd go home, I'd teach my parents how to do different things. And I started to like myself for, as stupid as that sounds, you guys, you start liking yourself for being able to add value in different ways, and you make yourself proud in different ways. So started doing that. I started going to different events and learning about self-development. And I started to be more interesting to myself. I started to be more interesting in relationships. I started to also realize that listening is one of the most valuable skills that you can have, to always be interested. And the more interested I was, obviously we've heard this before, but the more interesting you become to people. I started to learn how to ask better questions. I started to notice that when I would show up in groups, people liked being around me just because I could hold space for them. I could ask questions. I was interested. I didn't care how stupid I sounded asking a question, because I learned that people just like answering them. They just like answering questions. They like feeling valuable. So how could I make them feel valuable? I just learned so many different skills around being in different groups of people. And like I said, asking questions, holding space. And when I say holding space, just like listening, letting it be okay that you're not talking, which is kind of a crazy concept for a lot of people. Like, even if you don't talk, you're doing something really awesome within that group and listening, like being an active listener. So I started to make myself more interesting to myself. And I started to like me more. Mm-hmm.
Navigating relationships, talking a lot about relationships and how to drop the wrong people. I think at your level, you're really focused on good energy and people that you feel like have not just a good vibe, but getting rid of the toxic people who don't make you feel amazing. How are you right now navigating relationships and allowing people in your circle and pushing the ones that maybe have the bad intentions, ulterior motives, or bad energy away from you? Because I think that's a good topic.
You know, we are so much smarter than we think. Like, our body knows when we are perhaps hanging out with people, even though they're freaking amazing people. So I actually have switched things in my head. Like, I do love the idea of, you know, when people say toxic people or toxic energy, I think that exists for a reason. It doesn't necessarily, now people are going to push on this one, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are toxic. A toxic person. It could mean that their energy is absolutely not meant to travel on our journey. So I believe that energy is always giving us like a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So there could be someone who you're like, whoa, I think they're toxic. I feel like they have bad intentions and blah, blah, blah. I think it's literally the universe, or whatever you believe, or energy, the energy between you saying, hey, this person just is not actually the one that's for your path. So let's even say it's this investor who wants to give you $1 million for your idea, but your body's like screaming all the signals like, no, this is not right. This person doesn't feel right, but you want to take it for your business because your business feels like it's failing. I really believe that if you are feeling that to your core and you sit with it and you really ask, like, is this right? Is this the right person? Your body's going to be like, nope. And if you believe in, I think there are laws of abundance that when you feel that energy of like, this is this is like a full body no, don't do it. I think when you say no to that, something bigger opens up. So that is like literally everything that I'm rolling with and have rolled with in my businesses for the past few years, and it has worked.
Well, Lori, I really, really appreciate your time. And I just was excited to introduce more people to you. And I'm excited to get this out there. And mainly because of who you are and being a world-class human being before business, fitness, and everything else. So I admire you. I'm excited to continue to build our relationship. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. I strongly recommend, and you guys know I don't recommend a lot of books. I strongly recommend her book. Make sure you follow her on social media at Lori Harder. And much respect. I appreciate you.
Oh my God, you're awesome. I just want to say your energy, just the way that you hold space for people, like you are so freaking awesome. You're such a great interviewer. And I know that you adore your community and you're just all heart. So I'm super grateful.
Means a lot. I appreciate you. Let me know if I can do anything else for you, and have an amazing day. Tell Chris I said what's up.
I will.
And we'll talk soon. Hey, what's up? And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy this video and this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, put the notifications on, and I assure you, you'll love this content and these videos.